Coming up on CTV News tonight, the man in charge of the CTV building collapse inquiry and what former Christchurch City Council members think of the current state of our council. Welcome to CTV News, I'm Rob Cope-Williams. Former Christchurch City Councillor David Cox says the current state of the council is a major concern.
I'm with a man I've always admired as far as he's got his feet on the ground as far as what goes on in our beautiful province of Canterbury. I'm in his home, funnily enough, which is an absolute wreck, not livable, but we've managed to catch up with him anyway. Councillor David Cox, been on the council in excess of 20 years. He's now on the Hagley Ferrymead board, but we just wanted an overview from Councillor Cox, as I still call him, just how he sees where we're going at the moment. David, lovely to have your company, a wonderful servant of the city. You've been rewarded for that in the Queen's Birthday Honours, etc. But it's your city, you look at it, what do you think? What's going through your mind about where to from here?
That we've got to do a phoenix and we've got to raise the city from the ashes of the three events, and we can do it if there's a will, and I believe there is. Is there a way? Yes, the experts who have greater knowledge about infrastructure development than I have can put something in front of us that we will be so excited about. I might not see it. With respect, you might catch the tail end of it, but your children and our grandchildren, they will benefit from people's enthusiasm and skill.
You've had such a long council experience. It's not pleasant reading at the moment. There seems to be a desire to rip the council apart somehow. It's obviously a different place from when you served on it.
It seems to be more vicious, and that's very sad. I follow you with your love of sport. You've often said in relation to sport, keep your eye on the ball. It appears as though the eye is now not so much on the ball by some elected people, and particularly some outsiders who are putting pressure on some elected people and steering the community into a disruptive frame of mind rather than a productive.
And it seems bizarre to me that you would choose now to do it when the priorities surely are bringing together let's get the shoulder to the wheel and rebuild this jolly. I don't think we've got time for all this drivel that's going on, have we?
We haven't. We just absolutely haven't. There are tremendous financial constraints. There are tremendous infrastructure constraints. There are tremendous operational constraints. What I admire about people like Tony Marriott and the group of 8 people that are his first lieutenants, who I had very close contact with most of them, and they are a skilled and highly motivated group of people, and they have in the next 2 or 3 levels below them equally skilled and equally motivated, and they are looking, I'm guessing now, because I'm not as close to it as I was before October, I'm guessing that they're looking over their shoulder and thinking to themselves and possibly saying to each other, why are we being subjected to this when the reason for our being at the present moment is to keep the rates as low as possible, to get the infrastructure back on so that people all over the city, not just in the eastern suburbs where I live, but clear through the city. And if you think of the adjacent local authorities, Selwyn and Waimak shouldn't be forgotten, and that's we have a responsibility in the city to be supportive to our friendly neighbours.
There we are, just some pearls of wisdom from someone who's had a long association with the city at an administrative level. So hope you found it informative, and I thank David very much for letting us come into his house. We're actually looking forward to getting out of it again, I've got to tell you. So yeah, thanks very much to David Cox.
The commission into the collapse of the CTV building aims to give the families of those who died when the building collapsed in February's quake some answers, and also aims to ensure this sort of tragedy will never happen again. However, those involved say it'll be a long process. Emily Cooper has more.
An upcoming inquest will look at why some buildings failed so badly during the February 22nd earthquake. The CTV building collapsed, then caught fire when the 6.3 magnitude quake struck, killing the majority of those inside, including 16 CTV staff members. All those staff members who were inside the building, on the ground and first floors, perished, except for CTV receptionist Mary Ann Jackson, who ran out the front door. The building's failure accounted for more than half of the 181 fatalities of the quake, raising questions why the country's building codes failed to prevent the disaster. Chair of the Commission, Justice Mark Cooper, is now calling for anyone with information they think will help the inquest to come forward. He says it's a straightforward process, although some may find it confusing.
Well, at the moment we're at the stage where we've called for expressions of interest. In other words, we've asked people to let us know if they want to be involved. There'll be people in various categories. They may just have information that they think will help the Commission with its work. We've asked people to let us know whether they are interested by the 22nd of July. Once we've heard from people, we will then be able to design the process from there and work out when we're going to have hearings.
The hearings are due to be held in October, and Justice Cooper says it's easy for people to do their part.
It may be a bit confusing, but that I think probably reflects the flexibility with which we intend to go forward. People don't need to face the prospect of appearing in public at a hearing. They can tell us information in writing if that's what they would prefer to do.
He says the Commission will answer many questions.
We have to answer a number of questions under our terms of reference. I suppose uppermost in people's minds will be, why did two buildings in particular fail and cause such loss of life? But apart from those buildings, the Canterbury Television building and the PGC building, we're looking in particular at the Hotel Grand Chancellor at the Forsyth Bar building where the stairwells collapsed, and also a representative sample of buildings elsewhere in the central city. We expect to be able to say at the end of the process why some buildings failed and why some buildings did particularly well.
And importantly, it will give the families of those that died much needed answers.
They will know at the end of the inquiry why the CTV building and the PGC building failed and caused such widespread loss of life. We will explain how the buildings were affected by the earthquake, and we will identify, if there are any particular design features which may give a clue as to why those buildings collapsed.
The inquest will also look at how good the building codes are both in Christchurch and central business districts around the rest of the country, so that this type of tragedy will never happen again. Justice Cooper says they must look at the rules that relate to the development of buildings around the country and look at what is known about the risks of quakes throughout the country. If you have anything you can contribute to the inquiry, you should do so by the 22nd of July.
We have a website which we're going to use to keep people informed about the inquiry as it proceeds, and that's www.canterbury.royalcommission, all one word, .govt.nz.
They want to hear from those who'd been in the buildings since the September quake or had seen any of the buildings on the day of the quake.
Anybody who saw something that they think may have been relevant on the day, or anybody who had experiences between the 4th of September and the 22nd of February that they think we need to know about.
Many of us were woken by two aftershocks that struck Christchurch in the early hours of this morning, after what has been a generally quiet period in terms of shakes. The last shake felt was a 4.4 on Saturday. The first earthquake hit at 2:58 this morning at a depth of 9 k's. It was 10 k's southeast of Christchurch. It measured a magnitude 4.2. It was followed by a 3.7 earthquake which struck at 6 minutes past 5 at a depth of 8 k's and again 10 k's southeast of the city. These two shakes have been added up to more than 7,000 aftershocks which have shaken our city since the September quake. And 3 people have appeared in court after Christchurch police closed down a clandestine laboratory used to make methamphetamine. The lab was located at a Shirley motel Friday the 15th of July, and a 32-year-old Christchurch man and a 31-year-old Christchurch woman were arrested at the premises, while a 30-year-old man was arrested at another Christchurch location. The three appeared in the Rangiora court on Saturday facing charges of possessing equipment and materials for manufacturing the drug and possession of methamphetamine. Detective Sergeant Dorothy McPhail says that the lab was located after police received information from a member of the public. Coming up after the break, we look at the Sumner Skate Jam, which was held yesterday. Welcome back. Westpac Bank have launched what they know as earthquake bonds, which gives New Zealanders the opportunity to invest with money coming directly back to the Earthquake Relief Fund.
Who prompted this move?
I think it was one of those great ideas, Peter, that often comes when people get together after work, perhaps with a little bit of wine or something to help them, sitting around in a bar thinking, what can we do to help Christchurch that's within our expertise?
Would this be a first in the combination that you've brought together?
I think it is. I think it's very innovative, and that's why we're not quite sure how it's going to go. We do hope that people really get on board and embrace it, but it really is pretty cutting edge.
I was a little concerned to hear you say that you just wondered if there was a falling off, a waning perhaps in the desire to support. Is that sort of the feeling you get?
I haven't really noticed it, but you did see a huge amount of support throughout the country at the start. And when you realise that it's going to take 10 years or something, the scale of the thing to rebuild Christchurch, when you come down here, often like I do, you see the amount of work that's required. I just hope that people don't, and I think that's important that people keep coming up with ideas that can keep generating enthusiasm.
And of course, from Canterbury's point of view, is that there doesn't appear to be any end in sight.
No.
So do we start doing something at the risk of copping another?
Well, I think that's right, but we've got to start sooner or later, and I mean these things can't go forever, so we've got to start. And I think the important thing about the Earthquake Appeal Trust, the thing I like about it, is that as well as all the work that's going on to build the hard infrastructure, you need more than that to build a community. You've got to build the playing fields and the churches and the women's refuges and everything that goes in between to get people to live, happy lives.
The bond with sport, you saw that as important, obviously, to get kids back into action.
Yeah. I mean, it's vitally important. We know the Canterburyans are probably the most sports-mad New Zealanders in the country, and such
hellishly good at it.
And very, very good at it. And as the whole country knows, because we were all supporting the Crusaders last Saturday. But everyone knows that it's so important for kids to grow up and be able to participate in sport.
We tend to be a little bit insular here. The feeling as you go round the country for the plight of Canterbury, how is it?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, I think it's just brought so many people together, and there's always sort of a bit of parochial rivalry in the past, but this just completely transcends that. So everybody in New Zealand is totally behind the Canterburyans.
So you're convinced the bond will have a national appeal?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
We're seeing big demand from other parts of the region other parts of the country outside the Canterbury region.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The length of time that you'll keep the bonds alive?
It opens on the 21st of July and it closes on the 16th of August. So it's
short span.
Fairly short span, but we'll get a lot of marketing and things going in that time.
Right.
And as you've seen, the Prime Minister and people supporting it. So we've got a lot of support behind it.
And a film that features some of the best rock climbing areas in Canterbury has raised funds for the Christchurch Earthquake Appeal.
A film that highlights the best rock climbing areas of Canterbury has finally been screened in New Zealand after a number of setbacks. The New Zealand film launch was put back a number of times due to the Canterbury quakes, but was finally shown on Thursday night.
We were first going to screen it towards the end of 2010. Eventually we started organising to do a screening in April, which we were organising back in January and early Feb. That was all coming together. We had posters printed and put up around shops and things, and then obviously the February quake hit. We just waited again until July, and now we're finally here.
Unfortunately, many of the climbs featured in the film were destroyed in the February quake.
What my film's mainly about is the climbing areas that are outside of Christchurch. We start off by talking about the climbing in the Port Hills themselves. The climbs that we actually show, for the most part, are still there, but a lot of the most classic climbs that are out there in the Port Hills have been destroyed mainly since the February earthquake. Yeah, which is really sad. It's a huge loss for the climbing community here.
And the film has managed to raise funds for the Canterbury Earthquake Appeal in Australia.
I really wanted to do something for Christchurch to help out. It felt pretty helpless being over in Melbourne at the time because I'd lived in Christchurch for 2 years. I realised that I had this film in my hands that no one had seen, which was about Christchurch and about the climbing here. So what we decided to do was use that to mobilise a bit of support from the climbing community in Australia wherever we could. So I sought some sponsorship, which I managed to get from Paddy Palin, who are an outdoor retailer in Australia. And yeah, we managed to put on screenings in Melbourne and Katoomba, which is in the Blue Mountains. We managed to raise over 2,000 NZ, and we donated all of that to the New Zealand Salvation Army Canterbury Earthquake Appeal.
The film is now being distributed through the New Zealand Alpine Club, and organisers are hoping to screen the film again for fundraising.
The weekend sunny and dry weather was perfect for young skateboarders to take on the ramps and rails of Saturday's Sumner Skate Jam.
The standard's been really good. Good to see a lot of girls involved. We had a few girls enter, which is awesome. And the talent of the younger kids is just phenomenal. I was blown away.
There were plenty of thrills and spills with the 22 competitors trying to produce the best tricks in a skate park setup at Sumner School. 9-year-old Sol Thickeridge won the 10 and under section. 11-year-old Ariki Kingi took out the 13 and under title, and 15-year-old Jordan McStay won the 16 and under category. The Open Jam winner was 23-year-old James Kingston. The free gear hire proved a hit, with more than 40 people of all ages having a go. The event was organised by the Cheapskates Skate School, which will be running 25 community skate jams across Canterbury in summer. The next event is the Big Chill, being held in Linwood on Friday, the 29th of July. Coming up after the break, your local weather. Welcome back. A number of All Blacks visited Christchurch yesterday to hand out tickets to next week's All Black test against Fiji and to meet residents of some of the hardest hit parts of the city. Maana Nonu, Conrad Smith and Adam Thompson handed out tickets to young Ripper rugby teams from Burnside and New Brighton rugby clubs and to earthquake-affected Christchurch residents ahead of next Friday's test in Dunedin, which is a fundraiser for Christchurch Earthquake Appeal. They also thanked emergency services by presenting specially designed jerseys to representatives from Canterbury's emergency services. While in a training camp in Auckland this week, the entire All Black squad signed 30 replica jerseys branded with a special For Canterbury logo featuring the cathedral and Canterbury's colour, which as you know is red. And staying with rugby, Canterbury's ITM Cup team beat Auckland in the National Championships over the weekend. Canterbury lost 9 All Blacks but still managed to beat Auckland 40-33. And Pete Smith hit the streets today to find out what people are doing over the school holidays.
I'm a bit out of the habit of school holidays. Family's grown up, not quite sure even when they are, but they are on. And I wonder what sort of challenges that there are now in the city with not as much open, not as many activities. What do people do with their children over the school holidays?
Taking off out of the city for a bit.
Where are you going to go?
Down south to Middlemarch and then to the west coast.
You got family there or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Is that a good break?
Yeah.
Yeah. You enjoy the school holidays? Yeah. What's the one thing you really want to do on the school holidays?
Have my friends over heaps of times.
Play what?
Have my friends over heaps of times.
Oh, great. Catch up with your friends. What about you, Poppet? You on holiday?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old are you?
5.
Oh, well, you're just starting to get holidays. You'll be lucky.
Bring them maybe shopping.
Yes.
Buying some books for them. Maybe go to the mall.
Yes.
Where they have all this holiday program for the kids.
What about that kids fest in town? Would you go into that?
Yeah.
In
definitely.
the dome? Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, just ask them what they want to do. Take them out for a wander, get them on their bikes. If the weather's like this.
Yeah.
When it's rainy, DVD.
Yeah. Not as many movie theatres, are there?
No, actually that's a pain in the backside.
Actually. It is, yeah. So one thing you want to do on your school holidays?
Go to the snow.
Go to the snow. You want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to do in your holidays?
Probably go snowboarding.
Snowboarding? Yeah, you been before?
No, I haven't actually.
So you're going to have a first go?
Yeah.
How likely is that, Dad? They put the heat on you now, haven't they?
I know. Yeah. Time and money.
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, it is.
Take them to the toy shops.
Yeah, then what else will you do? You can't do that all day.
Take them out to the parks.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, get them outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's not as many things open now as there used to be, is there?
No, but there's still a lot of things to do, lifestyle things around Christchurch.
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, we go out walking, out biking.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Will they take them to the movies?
Probably not. Yeah.
Do they have a DVD at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably is good.
Yeah, that's right.
We've been doing things like baking and going out and visiting things. We went to an airfield yesterday.
Oh, great.
And they had a go in some very old, like tiger moth and things like that.
How old are you?
8.
8. What would you really like to do on your holidays?
Play.
Play. You can do that. How old are you?
6.
What would you really like to do?
Flying the aeroplane.
Fly the aeroplane. Granny, what would you like to do? Put your feet
Oh
up.
man, I'd like something and a good hot cup of coffee.
They're going to play out on the trampoline as much as possible.
Right, get them outside.
Yeah, that's right. And
Have some fun.
have some fun.
Yeah.
Rosie's building a castle at the moment.
A castle?
Yeah.
How are you building that?
We're making strips of cardboard
Yes.
and we're gluing bits of the castle onto the cardboard, and then we're going to cut it out and stick it all together.
Have you got it out of a book?
No, Mum's friend was going home from her school and she said, what a cool castle you have, and she went all the way back and got us the instructions and stuff.
How old are you, sweetness?
7.
7. You're very, very articulate for 7, I've got to tell you. Now, Harry Potter, how are you?
Good.
Hey, are you going to go and see him?
Hopefully.
You look like him when he was very young. Do people tell you that?
Sometimes.
Is Mum a wizard?
No.
She's not a wizard. Can she cast a spell?
Not that I know of.
No, you haven't seen it yet. Oh.
No.
So have you seen all the other Harry Potters?
Yes.
So you'll be going to this one?
Yes.
The last ever one, can you believe it?
No.
They'll make another one, won't they?
Hopefully.
I'll tell you what, when you've been on TV, they might ring you and say, could you be the next Harry Potter? What would you say?
Yes.
That's CTV News. I'm Rob Cope-Williams.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.